Jai Hind students, hope you all are fine. So, we had already started this chapter, history chapter number 1, that is how, when and where, and the first module we have covered. Let us begin with the next module. So, I hope you all remember that we had discussed about James Mill. We had also discussed about how important were the dates. So, beginning with the next one, we will understand what is colonial. Now, the Britishers came to India and they established their rule, and they subjugated the Nawabs and the Rajas, collected revenue from them, they bought goods at low prices. And so, what happened after this? This brought a gradual change in the society. Changes in the Indian values, changes in the Indian customs, taste, practices. Now, this process of subjugation of one country by another led to political, economic, social and cultural changes, and this process is called as colonialization. As you can see, the definition is also given. Next, we will understand what sources do the historians use in writing about the past, that is the Indian history. So, the first is administration produces records. Now, one important source is the official record of the British administration. Now, they believed that the act of writing was very, very important, and every plan, policy, decision had to be clearly written up. Now, once this was done, this had to be carefully studied and debated, and this conviction produced a number of administrative culture of notings and reports. The Britishers also had felt that all important documents and these letters, they had to be preserved very carefully. So, they set up institutions for that. There were record rooms for that, the village Tehsildar's office, the collectorate, the commissioner's office, and these all had their own record rooms. Specialized institutions like the archives, which we have done in class 7 also, and there were museums which also were used to preserve the important records. Then letters, memos that moved from one branch of the administration to another in the 19th century were also and are still read now in the archives. Then surveys became important. Now, the Britishers felt that the practice of surveying was also very important. They believed that no country could be properly known until it was, we do not know it's how things were getting administered there. And by the 19th century, detailed services, by the 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out, and in the villages there were surveys which were conducted. Efforts were made to know about the topography, the soil, the flora, fauna, and so on. Then census operations were also held after every 10 years, and these prepared detailed records of the number of people in all the provinces of India, and there were also information. This also led to finding information about the caste, their religion, and their customs. Now, we will understand when these surveys and census were being done, what was left behind, or what things the officials record did not tell. Now, we understand that the officials thought that they always wanted to show those things in which they were interested. Now, these records did not always help us understand what other people in the country felt, or somebody who was illiterate, or somebody who led a tribal life, what they felt. So, if we see when we begin to search all these sources, we find there are a number of things which are there in plenty, but when we have diaries of people or accounts of the pilgrims or the travelers, we find that there are a number of things which were not told. We will not be able to understand how history was experienced and led, or how the tribals lived, or how the peasants lived, or the people or life of the workers and the miners or the poor in the streets were left behind. So, all these sources were produced by those, the surveys and the official records were produced by those who were literate. Now, we will not be able to understand how history was experienced by the people who were living on the streets. So, this is all last module of this chapter. We will be dealing with all the in the live class. Till then, Jai Hind.